Lee, thank you very much for joining us again on a video for our new podcast called The Resilient Entrepreneur, where we're talking about how to survive in an AI world.
I know that Simon Sinek and Stephen Bartlett had a bit to say recently, so we thought we'd jump on and sort of riff off the back of that a bit.
It is a time of challenge for business owners. It is a time of difficult circumstances for everybody to cope with in the modern world with AI birthing, I guess, is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And a lot of talk about how it's going to impact knowledge workers. Last time we spoke, I guess we sort of had a one-sided view of it a bit, that, hey, AI is going to make everything easier and generally better for people. But actually, there's another side coming out now about, well, who's going to be mostly hit? And the idea being that on the back of the Industrial Revolution, it was manual workers that were losing their jobs and being replaced. Actually, in the AI revolution, it's more likely to be the knowledge workers that are suffering and may end up being replaced. And in the Industrial Revolution, no one cared, right? It was the poorest of the poor that were being replaced, and the richer got richer. Whereas now it's sort of the middle classes and maybe even the wealthy that are in danger. And there's not going to be any stopping it. AI is coming. It's going to be about who uses it. But it got me thinking, what is a knowledge worker? I mean, everyone's talking about knowledge worker, but what is a knowledge worker? So I thought maybe we'd cover that first. What's a knowledge worker?
Yeah, I think it is really interesting that how the tables have turned, like from the Industrial Revolution. Certainly, like talking personally, one of the things I've concentrated on over the last few years, I'm not saying I'm great at it by any shape of imagination, but I've tried to be more and more of a knowledge worker because I thought that's where my skills were, right? I'm only 5'4", so I'm a short bloke. So manual labour was never going to be my cup of tea. Take into consideration also some health challenges that I have along the way. And again, bricklayer wasn't going to be me. And I would never have got a job and never been good at a manual labour job. So I always went down the way of like knowledge is power, or certainly, as Tony Robbins used to say, applied knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And then I get into an AI world, and this is where it really becomes quite ironic. Actually, knowledge workers are potentially one of the ones not most at danger, but the ones that need to adapt. I think that's the thing that comes out of it, and that definitely came through from the Simon Sinek stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's the need to adapt.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I echo what you've said with your health challenges and stuff. I was born with one arm, so I remember my dad telling me, look, you can be whatever you want. If you want to be a car mechanic, be a car mechanic, but you're going to have to work twice as quickly as everybody else in order to compete. So I went down the knowledge route as well, and originally a lawyer and now mental health and well-being specialist. It was quite important for me to use the brains, but so the knowledge workers that are impacted now are likely to be IT consultants, physicians, medical research, pharmacists, financial analysts, marketing consultant. That's you, Martin. Construction manager and teacher. And teacher, arguably that's me. Now I've recently seen some online well-being tools where you can actually have a chatbot, and essentially the therapist or counselor is AI. And I question how useful that's going to be in the long run. AI is trying to almost get us to be perfect, right? AI is perfect. And the problem is perfection is actually quite boring. It's predictable. It's the psychological equivalent of an airport hotel or something like that, isn't it? It's clean, it's functional, but it doesn't have any soul. And Wabi-Sabi, from Sinek's point of view, is like imperfection isn't a bug in the system. It's actually the feature of humanity. It's what makes us who we are.
Yeah. So that thought of like, if I went to the gym, if I didn't have to go to the gym and I could just wake up in the morning and get muscles, would I still appreciate those muscles as much as I did if I'd have gone to the gym and I'd worked hard for those muscles myself? Again, the same with the kind of the mental health, etc. If somebody could just get rid of my suffering, would I appreciate the loss of the suffering? So if, for example, I'm depressed or anxious or worried, and then somebody just waves a magic wand and that's all gone, would I actually appreciate that it's gone? Would I understand that it's disappeared? And would I be happy and satisfied about that? Or is the journey of working through it what makes the difference of getting through it. That classic, like what he mentions, is it the journey, not the destination, that what matters?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. That's why soldiers bond in foxholes. That's why they end up having unbreakable bonds, right? Because it's not the perfection or the journey that builds that human nature and human connections. It's actually the struggles that people have, and learning about each other in that moment. In the world of psychology, we call it telos, right? Telos is a sense of purpose. And that transcends a balance sheet or things like that. You've got to have that purpose. You know, you can build a really fast car that's brilliant, but without a steering wheel, it's not going to do anything. and,
Yeah,
and and that's kind of where the emotional element comes in for people and their work and what they're doing. So having that purpose is almost the emotional compass, and that grounds you when funding dries up or when problems arise.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for me as well, I think slightly off topic example, but why do we all enjoy Jeremy Clarkson's farm? Right? If he just came on and he had a farm that worked and made money, and I've just finished season 4, so one of the reasons why we enjoy it is all the challenges that he goes through, right? All the ups and downs that he goes through, all the things that he overcomes, and I guess it's that hero's journey that we watch him go through that is important. If he came along and got AI and just went into ChatGPT and went, "Da-da-da-da," there you go, there's a perfect farm, here's the perfect resource, here's the perfect food, none of us would watch it, right? It wouldn't be as interesting. So there is something about that human journey that we all need to remember.
That is absolutely right. If it was perfect farming, it would be completely boring. And it Clarkson gets that. It's the human element, right? It is the imperfection is what makes us watch. It's the imperfection that makes us love this multi-millionaire who has drawn attention to farming in a way that most people would think that's bad. He's bought the farm for whatever purposes, and he did. He openly admits that. But he's
Yeah,
now a farmer. Emotionally, it's got him, and we're on that journey with him. And it's because it's not perfect. It's because he messes up. It's because he then learns from that, and then still repeats it sometimes because we are human. You know,
yeah,
AI can do a lot of things. That isn't much different to sending a chatbot to a funeral, right? Right? Do you know what I mean? The chatbot,
can I do that?
it would
Will I be
say
allowed to
all
do that?
it would well, I don't know, but it would say all the right things, but it would fundamentally be missing the bloody point, right?
Yeah,
AI can write a decent apology. It can write brilliant emails. It can simulate empathy, but simulated empathy is like non-alcoholic gin, right? It lacks the kick.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so what do we do instead? We can't emotionally outsource leadership. We can't emotionally outsource management. It's dangerous because the tech is bad. Not because the tech is bad, but because it's too good. It lacks that human element. If you're not careful, people will start mistaking the use of emotional language for emotional intelligence. And they are
yeah,
not the same thing. Just because you know what you ought to say doesn't mean you can say it. And actually, knowing what you ought to say and getting it wrong in the way you say it and deliver it is arguably more dangerous than saying it wrong, but with the right intent. And AI cannot do that. AI does not know how to do that yet. And so it will still require people to do that. But I think in the financial run up to that, I do think there's a big danger that leaders and business leaders are going to believe that AI can replace the human element. Whereas when it comes to knowledge workers, it's going to be about making yourself almost so human that you can't be replaced.
yeah. And maybe that's a little bit about what Wabi-Sabi is about, all about. My pronunciation, that is awful. But that imperfection, that vulnerability of a human being, I think in business, and I think this is where entrepreneurs, business owners aren't going to need to focus. They're going to need to focus on that human element of business to be successful going forward. And I think customers and consumers will want to seek that out more and more, and employees, right, will want to seek that out more and more in the cultures, in the places they work. That we will have a hunger and a desire for those great places that focus on being human and providing a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And an experience is probably one of the key words that we need to focus on. So, and yeah, there's definitely going to be a race. Or I get calls from AI robots at the present moment trying to sell me double glazing or solar power and things like that. Now, there's no way on God's earth, and I can't for the life of me fathom out how they're making money from it. But maybe some people that aren't so familiar with AI don't figure out that it's AI and go through the actual call. But to me, as soon as I hear that that is not a human being, I switch off completely. I don't want to buy from them. I don't want to do business from them. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you can't be asked to employ somebody to talk to me directly for a good sale, then there's no way I'm going to buy from you.
Yeah. Actually, on that exact point, my brother got a call from an AI selling something yesterday, and weirdly, he took pleasure in talking back to it, knowing fully what it was.
Yeah,
Weirdly, he wanted to waste the AI's time thinking he was winning.
yeah. I've done
And
it
it's like,
myself, particularly when I'm in a car.
and well, yeah, and now I couldn't get it. I was just saying, just hang up, just hang. He's like, no, it's fun. I'm wasting. It's like, but you're not wasting its time. It's not like a human has cold called you. It's just a computer running through its thing. You're not wasting anybody's time. Well, maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe wasting that computer's time is the same as wasting a cold caller. But you are right with the future happening. We're sort of being, our children and our leaders are growing up with screens and algorithms, and they're not prioritizing necessarily what the skills are going to be. So I had to think about it, and I thought, what are the skills we're going to need? And sort of the line I came up with is, should we stop teaching kids how to code and teach them how to cope?
I
Because
love that line. That's a great
yeah,
line.
because a lot of coding is actually going to be done by computers, right? You're going to be
Yeah,
able, at the minute, that's one of the big knowledge jobs, right? The coding of computers and stuff is, another friend of mine is what's known in the computer world as a unicorn. He knows all how to do all the really old coding that many of our government systems still operate on. And there's the young ones aren't learning this now. At the minute, he's the one almost teaching AI how and what to do with this, but it doesn't get it right, and it still needs the unicorn to correct what the AI is coming up with. So what are we going to be teaching them? And I think our children in the future, the future is not going to be won by logical minds necessarily. It's going to be won by the most emotionally agile, because AI can already write a business plan, right? But it can't recover from the embarrassment of getting a business plan wrong. AI can't navigate a fragile ego. It can't convince someone to go on a slightly mad journey with us, where we make human bonds and we make mistakes and we make errors. So I tried to come up with a bit of a short list of what I think
yeah.
maybe we should be teaching. I came up with 5. I've got them written down, so I'm going to read this bit. Emotional literacy, so the ability to name, process, and survive feelings without spiraling into a TED talk. Curiosity. I've got a few good ones in here today, haven't I? There's a few
You
little
have, yeah.
snippets and lines. Yeah, I quite enjoyed the prep for this one. Curiosity over certainty. People who ask great questions are rarer than people who give great answers, and we're missing that now. We're often asking the AI, what should we ask? What should we ask? Well, guess what? AI is going to repeat back to you what most people are already asking, or what most people are saying. It doesn't always come up with original things of its own. So we need people that are going to be able to do that. And then imagination. AI can't really have an imagination because it can only work with what's already out there. Now, I'm sure maybe next generation of AI will be able to pull different concepts together. You and I have used AI on what we call an epiphany bridge, right? Where you go,
Yeah.
hey, I've got 2 ideas. I want to find a way of linking them. You could argue that's a form of imagination, but I'm sure it's fairly limited. It doesn't have the unlimited jumping capacity that humans have.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And
definitely
then, sorry, I've
gone.
got two more, Martin.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we should have done one at a time, and I'll let you respond. But
No, no.
I'm on a flow, so I want to keep going. Grace under pressure, the underrated skill of not losing your marbles when things go wrong. Now, again, AI isn't going to get overwhelmed, but the perfection of AI telling a human what to do, the human still has to implement that. And AI can't tell the human how to manage, like I said, when your ego goes wrong or when you get something wrong or you have embarrassment in front of other people. And then the last one AI doesn't do is playfulness. And good entrepreneurs at heart are often grown up children with slightly more convincing LinkedIn bios. That's all it is. So if you can take those things, emotional literacy, curiosity over certainty, imagination, grace under pressure, and playfulness, that will make future employees and future leaders way less like computers. And therefore, it will make you so unlike a computer that you won't be able to be replaced by one. And I think that's where the future of AI will rest. It's going to be about the emotional intelligence and the ability to communicate. And that's really sort of where my goal and my intent lies and my purpose lies. And that's what gets me up every morning.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely some stuff, some interesting stuff in there, and a lot of truth in what you just said. And I think we should reiterate that we're definitely in support of AI. We're not anti-AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's definitely going to be a world where it lands somewhere in the middle, right? So I can remember when the internet was, I don't quite remember, it was, I was only just leaving school at the time, but the internet started getting going as I was very young. And, you know, it was meant to be taking over the world, and knowledge workers were meant to be replaced then because of the internet, because,
Yeah, and shops were going to get replaced, right?
yeah,
When online shopping became a thing.
because you could get all the knowledge for free and you could get everything done for free and you could find all the answers you needed. So you could go online and figure out how to wire a plug. You could go online and learn how to plaster, right? You could learn how to do all the manual jobs. But there's a reason why people go to the gym and hire a personal trainer. It's because of that human interaction, right? It's because when a human holds you accountable, then you do more because you've got accountability.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, one of the things AI can't do or won't do is hold your feet to the fire and put that a slight bit of pressure on you. And I think there's definitely something you talked about consciousness in there. And I know Anthropic launched Claude Model 4, I think it was, or 4.1 or something like that. Their model naming of AI is ridiculously complicated and confusing. But they said that that has got 15% consciousness. Now, how you put a number to consciousness, I do not know, right? And I don't believe what, like, try and tell me what 15% consciousness is. I don't think I could, like, either you are conscious or you're not conscious, surely. Um,
I don't know. I don't know that. I think, I mean, maybe they're, I can imagine in the world of science, they've broken consciousness down into a number of um, labeled skills. And I'm guessing that that particular AI is ticking some of the boxes of those, what we've labeled as conscious skills. But I would imagine that we would, or we ought to redefine consciousness if we're starting to claim that a machine has it.
but I don't think Freud or Jung or Adlerian psychology or any of those psychologies managed to give a definite meaning or definition to what consciousness is. And I don't think philosophers or any psychologist has gone, this is factually what consciousness is. So if we've not been able to define it yet, then how can we measure it?
Well, if you can't measure it, it's an easy claim to make because it can't be refuted.
Yeah, that isn't that true, isn't that? But I think, you know, when I'm listening to a book called Snake Oil, and I apologise, I can't remember who it's by at the present moment. But Snake Oil talks is all about, sorry, AI Snake Oil is what it's called. It's called AI Snake Oil, and it talks about, so a lot of the mis-selling that's going off at the present moment in the AI world, and a lot of this, so then it gives you like the understanding of what the positives are of AI and what the negatives of AI are. And one of the major factors that it's talking about is that there's predictive AI is the AI that we need to watch out for, that really, particularly in terms of predicting human behaviour, predicting future circumstances, predicting the future in general, is very difficult, stroke impossible, because there's so many factors to take into consideration. There's so many variables that can change that it's virtually impossible, certainly in today's level of technology and tomorrow's level of technology that we know, that we cannot predict it. But the area where AI really sings and dances and does its job as to what it promises it's going to be able to do is generative AI. So it can generate stuff based on the information that we give it.
Yeah.
And that comes into your playfulness and your imagination, right? AI,
Correct.
certainly at this present moment, cannot generate anything new that hasn't already been created. All it's doing is re-scrambling stuff that's either been written or created or drawn before and redrawing it, rewriting it. It's not creating anything new. So that's where the human imagination comes into play. And I think whether you're starting a business as an entrepreneur or whether you're a leader of a big, massive corporate, your ideas, your vision, and the reason why you want to achieve those are what's going to be the driving point that's going to be able to achieve them. And if AI just says, this is your goal, this is your result you want to get to, there's no energy there, right?
Yeah. Exactly that. You're going to have AI perfection versus human imperfection, right? And everything that you get AI to do is likely to be polished, but it may not be as persuasive. It might say the right things, but if it lacks the human messiness, the messiness that comes with people, then it might seem smooth, but it's not going to be as human and smooth. And people, whether we like it or not, people do see vulnerability as a credibility signal, right? Too often now, leaders are trying to be this perfect vision of what everyone else in the company should be, and actually, the really successful leaders know that that's not right. You see, Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, they all talk about their emotional vulnerability. They all talk about having heart officers in their companies and people that are in charge of the emotional stuff. And that Wabi-Sabi principle, imperfect is memorable, perfect is forgettable. You can make something that was beautiful more beautiful after it is broken by repairing it well and making it stronger whilst retaining its originality. AI can't do that as much. And
No.
that's why post-traumatic growth is real. That's why organizations or people that survive difficult times usually end up stronger afterwards than before it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And that's probably a beautiful note to wrap up today's session on.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's something that we can talk more in depth about and more in future. So again, Lee, thank you very much for all your insights. They're always valuable. They're always useful. And I appreciate you being with us. So thank you very much. Take care and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, and you, Martin, take care. We'll have another chat again soon.